Overthinking gets a really bad rap, doesn't it? Society tends to treat it like a glaring flaw, a glitch in your mental programming, or something you urgently need to fix, because it's holding you back. If you're an overthinker, you already know the profound exhaustion of an active mind that just won't quit. But here's what almost nobody tells you. That exact same mental trait keeping you up at night, replaying old conversations and stressing about tomorrow, is often the very engine quietly building your success in the background. Today, in this explainer, we're going to reframe that exhausting habit and show you why your hyperactive mind is, actually, a secret advantage.
Think about this for a moment. Is it possible your biggest flaw is actually your secret weapon? Those specific mental habits keeping you awake, the endless scenarios, the constant second-guessing, the deep analysis, well, psychology tells us these are often the hidden engines of exceptional performance. What if you aren't broken at all? What if, actually, you just have a high-performance engine, and you simply haven't learned how to steer it yet?
Okay, let's dive into this and clear up a major misunderstanding. Psychologically speaking, overthinking isn't just pure, pointless anxiety. It's not a broken mental loop. It's actually excessive pattern recognition running without a filter. Your brain is essentially a high-powered cognitive simulation machine. It's constantly scanning for risks, checking for errors, and simulating outcomes before they ever happen in reality. Most people simply don't have this level of processing power turned on. So it isn't a weakness, it's an incredibly powerful tool just waiting for a director.
This brings us to the first hidden advantage of the overactive mind: risk detection. Overthinkers are naturally wired to be the very first people in any room to spot exactly what could go wrong. Now, in everyday low-stakes life, this feels exhausting. But apply this trait to high-stakes situations. We're talking major business decisions, complex relationships, financial choices, or big career moves, and this natural scanning ability becomes absolutely invaluable.
And this brilliantly illustrates the real-world difference. On one side, you have the person who jumps in blindly, driven by, unexamined confidence. On the other side, there's the overthinker, carefully calculating the downside scenarios. The person who spends that extra time running through everything that could go wrong usually avoids far more costly mistakes. Psychologists note that this cognitive deliberation vastly improves outcome quality. You just don't get credit for it, because nobody sees the disaster that never happened. But that invisible protection compounds over the years. This natural foresight leads directly into our second advantage: depth of preparation. While most people prepare for the standard, obvious version of an upcoming event, an overthinker prepares for absolutely every possible version of it. Most folks might rehearse a big presentation, say, once or twice. The overthinker? They've already lived the event 10 different ways in their head before they even walk through the door.
By the time you step into a room, you've already anticipated the awkward questions, planned for sudden technical failures, and mapped out exactly what to do if your mind suddenly goes blank. From the outside, people often mislabel this as pure anxiety, but internally, this is highly effective simulation training. Elite athletes use visualization to prepare for competition, and overthinkers do this constantly without even realizing it's a profound skill. Once you intentionally direct it, you will consistently be the most prepared person in any room.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how constant mental simulation builds a third distinct advantage: high empathy. Because overthinkers are constantly replaying conversations and interactions in their heads, trying to decode every little detail, they naturally develop an unusually strong attunement to other people. It's a massive, undeniable asset in leadership, everyday relationships, and complex negotiations. Because of that mental replay, overthinkers become exceptionally skilled at catching the unseen. Subtle shifts in tone of voice, highly specific wording choices, micro-expressions, and unspoken reactions. Most people miss these entirely. Overthinkers catch them all. While it can absolutely cause worry, when you point this immense sensitivity toward understanding others rather than self-judgment, you become an exceptional leader, or an empathetic communicator who can read a room with pinpoint accuracy.
Which brings up a question really worth reflecting on. Have you avoided impulsive, ego-driven decisions in your past? Think about the destructive traps you've naturally dodged. Things like rage quitting a job on a bad Tuesday, sending a deeply reactive message out of spite, or blowing your savings on a fleeting whim. This natural avoidance, it's no accident.
It's actually the result of a highly valuable built-in delay mechanism. Impulsive decisions feel fantastic in the moment, but they quietly destroy long-term progress. The hesitation that you might hate about yourself is actually your greatest shield. It forces a necessary gap between immediate impulse and action. That delay isn't paralysis, it's the exact mechanism that prevents catastrophic, short-term mistakes from derailing your life entirely. This hesitation also fuels our fifth advantage, relentless refinement. Overthinkers naturally build unusually high standards for their own work. Perfectionism gets a lot of criticism in modern culture, sure, but when it operates as a controlled mechanism rather than a runaway train, it produces extraordinary, undeniably exceptional output that stands out from the crowd.
Let's move to this process and see how it builds. Overthinkers rarely accept the first draft. Their process is remarkably thorough. They draft, they reconsider, they refine deeply, and only then do they release exceptional work. In creative fields, business strategy, or complex skill development, refusing to accept that very first attempt is the exact line separating mediocre work from the extraordinary. When you learn to set a firm boundary, to refine deeply and then confidently release, your output will consistently outshine the competition.
Behind this refinement is a sixth advantage, the internal feedback system. Overthinkers develop a constant running audit of their own actions, words, and daily decisions. Think about it. Most people can go years, sometimes decades, without ever seriously examining their own behavior. Overthinkers, on the other hand, they're doing it daily and sometimes hourly.
So the crucial point is that this running self-audit is a rare and incredibly rapid path to self-improvement. Yes, it often starts out feeling harsh, filled with unhelpful self-criticism. But once you consciously soften the tone of that internal voice, from shame into pure, objective analysis, you're left with an incredibly accurate system for updating your patterns, identifying your blind spots, and accelerating your personal growth faster than almost anyone else.
Finally, we arrive at the ultimate advantage, long-term success. Simply put, overthinkers fundamentally make better decisions because they deeply struggle to ignore future consequences. Where highly impulsive people are entirely focused on what happens right now, in the moment, overthinkers are automatically looking down the road. While someone else is solely focused on the immediate choices of day one, or maybe the short-term comfort of year one, an overthinker is mentally 5 steps ahead, carefully assessing the long-term trajectory of year 5. This natural cognitive wiring strictly protects your long-term career and financial paths from the kinds of short-sighted, derailing mistakes that set other people back decades. Overthinking isn't a malfunction, it's an untrained superpower. This is the ultimate paradigm shift we've been building toward today. Your exhausting mind is actually raw, magnificent processing power, just waiting for direction. Let that sink in. There is absolutely nothing broken about you.
The goal was never to stop thinking deeply. The goal is to purposefully shift from chaotic overthinking to intentional processing. When correctly managed, exhausting and random spirals become prepared, structured systems. The mind that used to feel like a relentless enemy at 2 a.m. slowly transforms into a quiet, intentional engine that consistently outperforms the competition.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final empowering question. Which of these 7 advantages have you already been using